What the fuck is that?
Welcome back, everybody, to Voices in the Night. That's right. What the F is that? I don't know what it was, to be honest with you, but we're going to study the case, the curious case of Clipper Mills, California, and the longest recorded supposed Bigfoot howls ever on audio. So that's where we're going tonight. That's right. Clipper Mills, California, Northern California. And it's going to look very, very familiar to a lot of you guys out there. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am indeed your host, the Reverend Jeff Kelly. And of course, you know, YouTube has broken tools and they've taken a bunch of money and demonetized a bunch of people out there. And literally, if you don't have 1,000 subscribers or meet 4,000 hours of viewing a year, you can no longer be monetized on YouTube. They've killed the small creator. Why anybody's going to come and create for 3 years for free for YouTube is beyond me. I still suggest you do it because, well, now that you're not monetized, they're not playing ads on your stuff and you can advertise on it. So if you can actually come up with a genuine marketing scheme, you don't need their 0.001 or 0.0001 at this point. Friggin' penny per click. It's absolutely insane. So for you small creators out there, keep creating, sell some t-shirts, sell some coffee mugs, do whatever you got to do to stay alive, but just keep creating. At least there's a venue for you to do it for free. Once they want to start charging us, I don't know what I would do. My shows might actually shut down. We'll see where this all goes in the future. Might move it somewhere else. I have no idea. But wow, what an announcement by YouTube today. Hey, you guys, guess what? We're all those guys we didn't screw last year with that didn't have 10,000 views. Yeah, we're screwing all of you guys this year. Here you go. Happy 2018 to you. We hope you enjoy it. Speaking of things that you can take it or leave it, and you know, the Meldrum was brought up in the paper again. Seems that this time the Idaho State people are finally catching up with what the old doctor's been doing for like the last 2 years. And they've announced discovering Bigfoot, although it's funny that Dr. Meldrum never really had an official release about discovering Bigfoot on his page until this actually came out. So I don't know what to tell you, people. Every scam in the last 8 years seems to be starring this man right here. Just keep that in mind. You know, it's not my action. I didn't do this. Anyhow, the reason I wanted to bring this up at the beginning of the show, because there's a couple of other things that go right along with it. Expedition Bigfoot, the Sasquatch Museum, home of the impressive collection dedicated to the mythical beast. And this one is the one in North Georgia, just off of Highway 515. It's one of the most complete collections of Sasquatch artifacts, memorabilia, and folklore gathered into one place. The 4,000 square foot museum is comprised of newspaper articles documenting sightings, sketches, casts of handprints, and footprints gathered by Bigfoot enthusiasts and researchers from all over. Owners David and Melinda Baccarat say that it's the largest collection of Bigfoot artifacts in any museum anywhere. I don't know. I think Mike Rugg might actually have to count the number of artifacts he has in his actual collection there out there in Fulton, California. He's got a lot. Might not have 4,000 feet, but he's got a lot of stuff. Anyhow, the impressive collection is a real labor of love for the avid Bigfoot believers, Sasquatch researchers, closeted cryptozoologists. Is that a thing these days? Even the most skeptical cynics can all find something interesting at this museum in Cherry Log. At the very least, among all the engaging, educational, and entertaining artifacts, and free cookies for visitors. The cast of the butt print from a Yeti is definitely worth a look. Well, there you have free cookies for visitors. Come to the dark side. We have cookies. This is the one that goes along with the other one, which you probably should have put ahead of time. But Matt and the Manatees, what the heck? Expedition Sasquatch documentary 2018. That's right. This one's actually, the guy goes out to Nordegg, Alberta, and that's exactly where the Meldrum and Todd Standing ended up seeing supposedly something squatting forward and wandering from one location to another location. None of it is on video, and Todd Standing says it crab walked like a ninja. I don't know what to tell you about it, but this documentary wasn't actually half bad. And rounding out the trifecta of just weirdo crap in the Bigfoot world, Survivor Man opens up about Bigfoot, Missing 411, and the non-believers. That's right. BigfootBase.com got an interview with him. And I got to tell you, I could get through about half of it and just say, who cares? Les, my man, you just backed the wrong pony, dude. And you need to stop backing that pony and back a new pony. That's what happens when you find out your pony's on steroids. You stop using him. So ditch the Todd Standing, get back to your roots, get feelers out there and find some genuine Canadian Bigfoot researchers. And no, they're not going to show you tremendous friggin' videos of Bigfoot faces because they don't exist that way. We don't have them or they'd be out there. Anyhow, you can check this one out. The BigfootBase.com was the first time I came across this one. It was one of them blog type things that I like. All right. Speaking of blog type things that we like, the Eldorado Bigfoot Watch Expedition Stumpy, May 18th, 19th, and 20th, 2018 in Georgetown, California. It's not actually in Georgetown. It's past Georgetown, but that's what the address and the zip code is for, is in Georgetown. Is at the Black Oak Campground. There is zero cost. I had a bunch of people go, what do you mean it's zero cost? Your cost to get here and camp is what it costs. I'm not charging anybody anything to go squatching with the Reverend. That's how this works. I've never charged anyone to go squatching with the Reverend. Friday night's going to be a meet and greet with late night squatching. Saturday is going to be early morning fishing and gold mining with Rodney. And Saturday evening, we've already got some sessions set up for some talks to come from some of the VIPs that are coming along. Huck Outdoors is going to give us a presentation, as well as Always an Adventure. Luna is going to cook something for us. Good. And of course, I haven't even started talking to the Bigfoot people about what we're going to do there. So it's going to be a big time. It's fun. I already have reservation for 50. We're only at like 18. So we got plenty of room. And if we go past 50, it's okay. There's another site for 50 more. Don't worry about it. The merchandise is available on Redbubble, redbubble.com/people/Bigfoot Watch. We'll put you right into all the stuff that's around the Eldorado Bigfoot Watch. Any purchase from the merch store gets you to be an official member of the Eldorado Bigfoot Watch. When you get your item, you send me a picture of you and your item, and I will send you your membership details. It's just that easy. From a $3 sticker to a $22 shirt, it's all the same thing. You buy something, you're an official member for helping out the Eldorado Bigfoot Watch. And of course, there's always the Squatchers Lounge podcast merch that's out there as well. That's right. Get a picture of the squat. You know, that's very not far off from me on a strange Wednesday night. People will seem to really dig the mug. And you know, it's all at reasonable costs. I mean, I think the last podcast mug I paid $20 for, and these things are like $16.50. So, you know, there you have it, people. Take a look at it. You know, everything helps. get the project moving forward. All right, so that's where we are. We're past all that mess now. That YouTube's screwing everybody. We got to do something to pay a little bit of the podcast bills. Speaking of the podcast bills, you know what we do have this week? We do have a brand new quasi theory from a quasi scientist. Can you imagine that? That's exactly where we're going to go in just a moment, as soon as I can get the stupid picture up, because YouTube sucks, the big one. Yeah, I know that's where I broadcast from, but I can't help it. It is true. So with that, let's hear all about the quasi calendar and why it's so screwy. And now, quasi theories from a quasi scientist with your host, Dean Cooper.
The calendar. The calendar doesn't really make sense. It doesn't make sense in a lot of ways, but I'm going to focus on the names of the months. This being January, I'll start with it. Starting with January makes sense not only because it's the first month, but it's also named after the Roman god Janus. Janus was the god of beginnings and endings, of passageways and doorways, and gates and transitions. He has two faces because each of the things he was the god of could go two ways, in or out, begin or end, this way or that way. Janus is about the only god the Romans didn't get from the Greeks. He is a purely Roman thing. Some scholars think January was named after the goddess Juno because she was considered the tutelary deity of the month, the guardian spirit of January. Juno has her own month named after her, which we'll get to in a few months. February was not named after god or goddess. Its name comes from the Latin word februum, which means purification, and a particular purification ritual, the februa. The whole month was dedicated to purification, but the februa was the main one. The februa was always on the 15th of February and was part of the festival of Lupercalia. I did a whole dissertation on the Lupercalia last year for Valentine's Day. Look for Valentine's Day, Schmalentine's Day on my blog and my YouTube channel. March. You should all know, if you had any real education, the March is named after Mars, the god of war. April. April, now the fourth month of the year, used to be the fifth month and the second month before it got to be the fifth month. Explaining those switcheroos would take a whole quasi on its own. The name April, Aprilis in Latin, generally is said to derive from the Latin aprirere, or to open, as in buds and leaves in spring. May is named after the Greek goddess Maya. The Romans called her Bona Dea, the good goddess. Her rituals were secret. Only women were allowed in. Maya was a goddess of growth, which makes sense since stuff starts to grow fast in May. Juno is named after the goddess Juno, obviously. She's the wife of the great god Jupiter. I can find no good reason as to why Juno got June, except maybe that you didn't want to piss her off, what with Jupiter being your main squeeze and all. Now, the names of the rest of the months go screwy. July and August are named after the two Caesars, Julius and Augustus. When they went and stuck their months in, it buggered up the rest of the year. You know, September, October, November, and December, the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th months, according to their names. Now they are the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th months. The early Romans had only 10 months. That pretty much ignored the missing 61 days until the calendar got too far out of whack relative to the seasons. Then they'd scoot the months around until things lined up again, usually with a long holiday. Leave it to the upper crust of the upper classes to permanently snarf up a couple of months a year for themselves and make the rest of us work an extra 2 months. You may read the text of this on my blog at bydean.com. That's BHAIDIN.com.
That's right. Leave it to us to screw it all up. Speaking of screwing it all up, I pulled a camping tips for stupids, and we're gonna check that one out next. So with that, no further ado, here's a Camping Tips for Stupids replay. I don't even know which one it is, so let's bear with it.
Camping Tips for Stupids. Tip number 34. Drinking wild water. The city ain't the wilderness. Out here, everything can and will kill you. And then have some rape for breakfast. Hell, even the water will kill you dead. And chew in your eyes to sharpen its teeth. Out here, you gotta decontaminate your water before you can even drink it. Otherwise, you'll shit yourself inside out. And then you'll crap your pants. So listen up, because you're getting learnt with Jevin today. Both the CDC and the Wilderness Medical Society both agree that the only surefire way to make wild water drinkable is to both strain or filter it and then boil it. Bandanas, t-shirts, hippie liberal vegans can all be used to filter large particles out of your water. Make sure that damn thing's clean, you stupids. If it tastes like salt or ass, it ain't usable. At least for water. Now you want to get that brown, cloudy water up to a rolling boil. That way it comes out a lot less painful. But you should have boiled that shitty water before you drink it. So here's how. You want a lively, active, rolling boil. Large bubbles, and lots of them. Boil that shit for about 3 minutes. And this is calculating for altitude, because the higher your water is, the lower the temp it takes to boil. So 3 minutes average, and you're playing it safe. Now, don't forget to let it cool off. I know you people. Put it down, walk away, and tell an adult what you did. Now you got water you can drink. And also the same goes for human blood. For all you vampires that likes the bushcraft. This has been Camping Tips for Stupids. Remember to spay and neuter your idiot population.
God bless you, Jeff.
Camping Tips for Stupids.
Stop. There we go. Gotta love the YouTube. That's right. You can do it with human bloods for you vampires who like to do bushcraft. Wow. God bless you. Let's see who's hanging out in the live hangout chat room tonight. Okay, we've got, of course, our Quasi theorist, Mr. Dean Cooper. Huck Outdoors. That's right. Everybody run out the Huck Outdoors channel after the show and make sure you subscribe to it. We got to get all of our people up over 1,000 subs because YouTube sucks the big one. James the Grower, official EBW member number 5. Oreo cream rocks. There's a little bit of a kid in the house as well tonight. How you doing there, dude? Rod Dupree, he's always in the place to be. Then there's Mr. Kurt Harris. Happy birthday to Mr. Lance Windsor. There he is, right there. Let's move 15 seconds of 99. Man, if I could get 15 seconds back of 1999, it would be those last 15 seconds right before it turned to year 2000. I would make a lot of bets. Anyhow, John Briers, there's the man. Timothy McCune, yeah, there you are. I know you, no, but there you are. Swan Pond 50849. That's right. Go get your pond from the Swan in the 50849. That almost rhymes. Hey, you could make a commercial out of that. Hey, I'd even record a commercial for you for money. Natalie Smith, how you doing there? So glad she's been here since pre-show. Kurt Harris, if I haven't said hello to you, sir, I hope you're feeling well tonight. I'm glad to see you in the chat room. Shane Barber's in the house. Jonathan Dowdy, how you doing there, champ? I hope you're well as well as Sharon Willen. Another one who likes to come early and wait for the Reverend. I appreciate that. Obsidian Radio. Yes, Camping Tips for Stupids is one of my favorite segments on my own show. Isn't that crazy? Sham Squanch Rivera. How you doing there, champ? Glad you are there. I am here. I know there's a lot more people than this in here, and I haven't even gotten to anywhere near the top yet. So if you haven't heard your name yet, make sure you leave a comment at the bottom, and I'll make sure that you're not missed. Azerlane Drake. There you go. John Leland's in the house. I wish I could play a little bit of music background. I might have to work on that. I think I can probably do that. Bubba Nelson. Yeah, we're not really jealous of Todd Standing. We're just intelligent individuals that can't suspend that intelligence for even a second to accept any of his Muppets as real. But hey, you're welcome to believe what you want. But this year, I no longer care that you drink from the pool of knowledge, just that I led your ass there to do it. If you don't want to drink from the pool of knowledge once it's there, then there's nothing I can do for you. But I did lead you there. John Leland, we said hi to you, but Brian Hunter is in the house. How you doing there, champ? Canch Quanch. I know that's the way that goes. We're all pulling for you tonight there, Squatch Box. I'm sure if Christopher's still waiting for you to get out, he might even be listening live. So eat your vegetables, Christopher. Greens are really good for you, man. I don't care what they say about kale. That's crap, but get you some collard greens. Boris Cop, how you doing? There's a brown dwarf. Hope you guys are coming out to go camping with me, man. Seriously. I know there's more people. I know there's more than this, but I'm going to skip them because Jay Gerd, I knew. Josh B. Searcy. How you doing there, champ? That's like a $9 handle, man. You know, if it would have been Jonathan B. Searcy, it's probably been an even 10. But that's a nice $9 handle you got there, Chief. I'm horrible, I know. We're almost to the top here to where people, yep, I see where I was posted. Sam Squanch Rivera. I haven't said hi to you yet, but them and I have now. Don Rife. Hey there, dude. The Viking is in the house. That's right. All right. So we're going to blast down here to the bottom and see if we missed anybody or got anybody new. And there we go. Sergeant Cork. Stay off the Kool-Aid. Aiden Milton, how you doing there? Glad you're with us. Just me was out smoking a J. That's right. What was the question again? I don't know. The J just hit. Lee Scott, how you doing there, champ? And I think that is where we're at. I don't think there's anyone else. Wow. All right. There we go. Okay, so we have said hello to everybody, so let's get down to it. Clipper Mills, California. Yeah, let's take a listen to that interesting that. Now, here's what I've done. I have taken pieces for fair use, no more than 30 to 40 seconds at a time for discussion. That is 100% fair use. If the video gets flagged for copyright, I won't care. It's fine. I've also taken a segment from a Para Breakdown video that's even shorter than that in some comparison video, but I did not use Phil's voice because I did not have his permission to use his direct replication of, or representation of himself. But I will give them both credit. At the time that comes in, I will make sure that everybody knows where that audio comes from, because I'm not claiming any of this is my own. What I have done, though, is I have taken the original audio and enhanced it in places where it was difficult to hear. So if you've got on headphones tonight, you're going to enjoy this. If you're listening over speakers, you might want to turn it down just a little bit, because the volume is going to go up and down and up and down, and I don't want to do any damage to anybody that's running like 1,000 watts into a friggin' surround sound system, because that would just be dumb. Anyhow, That's what we're talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about Clipper Mills, California. And as the story goes, this family was on their way through Clipper Mills to end up in Strawberry Valley. And that is where they ended up for the night. They were going to stay the night there before they continued on. Now, what's very strange, as I started to look at where the Clipper Mills area in the Strawberry Valley actually was, I started to notice names that I'm familiar with, like Downeyville and Sierra City. And for those of you that came up in August to go camping with us, well, right there's Bassett's. And all of a sudden, there's, a direct line from the Sierra Buttes that some of you guys hiked up last year during the camp out all the way down here to Clipper Mills. And then when I looked at it a little closer, now this is up in the Plumas National Forest. And then you've got the Tahoe National Forest. And just down here, if you look closely, it's actually the El Dorado National Forest as well. So from where Clipper Mills is, there's the El Dorado National Forest, and we are actually way up here this year for that investigation. So from here, let's take a quick distance measurement from there to here. We are talking 52 miles as the crow flies. So it's just strange that, that all of these famous areas for Bigfoot are kind of lining up with incidences that can be tracked down through, encounters that don't have anything to do with any of us, but other people. And of course, if you click this over to the satellite, you guys have to understand, even if this is in the valley, it's at 5,000 feet. I mean, this is all high Sierra up on that end of the trail. So with that, let's take a listen to that introduction clip again.
What the fuck is that?
Now, that goes on and off and on and off for about 20 minutes. They edited it down to 15 to get out some of the absolutely square spots of it. However, some people say that it's dogs, and during Phil's breakdown of it, he definitely admits that there are dog sounds in there, yet there's also something else. These things that are calling back and forth to each other are at a distance that's different than where the dogs are barking and yelling from. Other commenters are saying, oh, you obviously never heard coyotes. Yeah, I have heard those coyotes. Those coyotes don't sound nothing like that. Coyotes yip, man. They're a little thing. They are a terrier. I mean, they've got an awful whimper scream to them that's just stupidly small sounding. They don't sound like a giant wolf. I mean, and that doesn't even sound like a wolf to me at all. It sounds to me like a I don't even know what to call it, aggressive, but a informing male. Informing minds want to know. But again, as we're looking at this area, here in Clipper Mills, it's just like the other types of places that we're talking about. There's a reservoir. There's signs of logging all around it. There's the peaks and valleys that run by the rivers. Almost all of these places that end up with some of these reoccurring Bigfoot type of reports all are kind of the same kind of territory. These are being logged because nobody lives here. So I stripped out another really long piece. It's actually 44 seconds. And let's go ahead and we'll take a listen to that one and see exactly what we're listening to. Now, this is a clipped piece without any of the people. So it was very, very low in the recording, even though you could hear it loud in your headphones. I've enhanced it or normalized it so that it's minus 1 dB of a full volume. So there's going to be a lot of white noise. Again, if you've got your volume up, please turn it down, and there's going to be a white noise undertone to it. But I've done that so that you can hear the tonality to whatever this animal is that's screaming. I'm not claiming it's Bigfoot because I haven't seen it do this. I've heard similar screams like this in the night, but just turn your volume down and let's take a listen to it, and we'll see how it sounds. Now, if you go over to their actual YouTube channel, which is Big Toe Time, the only thing that they have on that channel is just different edits of this. I mean, they aren't Bigfooters. They're not out there looking for Bigfoot. They're not out there, maybe it turned them into investigators. I don't really know, but there really isn't anything out on their. This isn't like an NDTV thing where, it might be somebody out there with loudspeakers trying to punk somebody or do something like this. This is definitely animals in the woods screaming continuously. And even if they were dogs that way, they would move. And these things don't really seem to be moving all that much. I mean, they're moving some. I'll show you some pictures here in a minute that, at least a picture that'll kind of explain the situation to you a little better. But if you go and watch the video on Big Toe Time, and I do recommend that you do go and watch the whole thing. The people aren't playing. I mean, the guy's making goofy comments, and when it gets in the middle of something, the shrieking really, really gets intense. The guy kind of busts out laughing. And I do that. Like when I wouldn't say when I'm afraid of anything, because I do stupid stuff when I'm afraid of things. But when I do that, I laugh in the face of danger, and it's kind of the way the guy gets to a certain point as he starts to kind of laugh in the face of danger. So let's take a listen to that second cut. Over and over and over, it's the same tonality. It's vary in tempo and and sound. They whatever this is seems to be repeating a call more so than just a random howl, at least to my ears. I'm not exactly the quintessential guy on Bigfoot vocals at all, but to my ears, it's just very, very, very strange sounding. Now, mind you, that second cut came in at like 11 minutes into this thing. Here, and I'll show you something really interesting. Let's get this out of the sharing here for a moment, and we'll share something else for you. When I'm going through these types of things, we're listening to them in a program called Audacity 9 times out of 10. the high peaks that you're seeing here on the left hand, that's the people inside the camper. Okay, and the lady that's in there, she ain't playing. I mean, every time the video camera kind of gets stuck on her, she ain't too happy to be there whatsoever. But I took the section here, as you can see, that was actually Howl's number 2, and you can see how very not impressive any of that is until you take a moment to cut it out of there, add it in, and enhance it. And then you can actually see the structure. Now, this is actually the normalized of Howl's 3 because it's actually shorter than Howl's 2. But you get the point. You know, when you're actually listening to it raw, this is what it looks like. And by the time you get it out of there and tweak it and bring it up to volume so people can actually hear the structure of what people hear or what I'm hearing, the white noise gets enhanced, but you can start to hear that tonality that I'm talking about. Now in this third cut, that's exactly what we've got going on. I've done exactly the same thing. I've taken a quiet section without the people talking and enhanced it to normalize to -1 dB so that the howls again can be heard. So let's take a direct listen to that. Now that's again a long continuous type of howl with dogs in between it, and that's what's confusing to a lot of it. Now, if you go over to the Para Breakdown channel and check out what Phil actually had to say about it, he's got it's actually a 6-minute video on the breakdown, and then he's got some enhanced video audio for people to be able to hear as well. But I will show you over yonder what I was talking about. Now, this is the actual video itself as it is on their channel, the Big Toe Time. It was published August 13th, 2012, with over 1 million views on it. And comments have always been disabled on this particular piece. Now, here is Phil's breakdown of it. After the guy had the encounter, he actually went back out to the location to see if he could locate where the houses were that had the dogs. And in this particular layout, the red circle is where the dude was staying, was in his camper setup. The white circles are the houses that had the dogs that were echoing and calling between where he was sleeping and where these calls, they felt like they were coming from the hill. And if you're able to read satellite pictures as well as I am, you can see that there's a huge elevation rise from where he is here to where these yellow circles are here. Of the fact saying that these animals up here calling back and forth to each other may have never even heard the dogs at all. So this is where your dogs are coming from, but whatever else is in there is out here screaming in the woods at each other. And that's that's the curious point of it. Of course, now this comes from the Para Breakdown channel. Phil Poling does Para Breakdowns. Please go out there, take a look at it. Sub. He does a lot of good work, a lot of great work. Phil and I have known each other for a lot of years. One of the only people who's never actually backstabbed me. Thank you, Phil. We may not see eye to eye on a lot of stuff, buddy, but I thank you for never backstabbing me. I really do. With saying that, I also took this last piece of audio as a comparison from his channel. It's it's 2 famous Sasquatch howls, a mountain gorilla, and then a call from this actual video. So take a listen to it and see if you can pick up on something. I'll play that for you again. One of those we know for sure is a great ape, and they sure sound a lot like to me. Now, when you look in those in the graph in the spectrum of the power versus the bleed off and everything else, they look completely different. The last three look very similar to each other, where the mountain gorilla at the beginning shows a very, very different wave pattern, but the other three really do look very, very similar in comparison to one another, which just kind of lends to creed that they may have come from similar types of creatures. And that, my friends, is going to be our discussion on the Clipper Mills Sasquatch audio. Is it Bigfoot? I really don't know. I can say that I don't think it's feline. I don't think it's canine, although there are canines in there. I think there's a little something else that's got a much bigger lung capacity to carry that kind of volume as far down into the valley as it was carrying it. Unless there was a big wind on the, coming down the mountain that was carrying with it. I don't know, but I've heard similar screams in the night that way that couldn't have been any animal that I was aware of. And that was because we were in Florida. Foxes make really weird calls, but they're not that loud. They definitely wouldn't carry that far down the mountain. So for me, I don't know. I really don't know what these sounds are, but to make a case for them being Sasquatch, knowing what I know about the location, knowing what I know about the river systems, the reservoir systems, the mountain peaks, the number of sightings in those areas that the locals don't even talk about. Yeah. There's a good chance that may have been a Sasquatch. And with that, we're going to wrap it up this edition of the Squatchers Lounge podcast. I did notice that a couple of other people showed up late out there, so we might as well say hey to them as well before we go. Reverend Matthew Gaines has finally got on board, as well as Mitchell Broadus has come along a little bit late. And I know I saw somebody else that I wanted to say hi to, of course, was B. Lynn. She showed up just a little bit late for us tonight, as well as Cal Alexander. How you doing there, Chief? So glad all you guys could show up. Vlog Surfer. See, I almost missed you. And there's the Life and Times JCM, showing up late, but always on time, because that's the Life and Times of JCM. All right, guys, with that, I do have another real Bigfoot encounter flashback to the younger days of the old Reverend for you here. So most of you have probably never ever heard this one before. 9 campers find Sasquatch. Sorry if the the music gets a little over the voice. I was timid in my younger years. With that, thanks everybody for being here, and may the Squatch be with you. This is Real Bigfoot Encounters. This week's case is from July of 2012. It details the events of 9 campers and their frightening encounter with Sasquatch, leading to the discovery of a huge stick structure. This is their story. Last summer, a camper and 8 of his friends had a very terrifying weekend camping in the northern Arizona woods. The plan was to camp and target shoot all weekend until the nights turned into strange dealings with an unknown monster lurking in the night. The weekend began in an area near General Crook Trail Hill in the Verde Valley of Payson, Arizona. On the way to the campsite to meet their 2 friends, Carlton Mercer and his passenger encountered a downed tree right in the middle of the trail to the campsite. Since they were in a lifted truck, they managed to get past the tree. However, no car would have made it, according to Carlton. They arrived at camp shortly before dark and set up camp for the night. Around 9 p.m., a pack of wild coyotes approached their site within 50 feet. Although hidden by the tall 4 to 5 foot ferns, the campers knew right where they were. They began to circle the camp, started to howl, and became aggressive, and then just like magic, they disappeared into the darkness. The campers returned to the campfire. Shortly after, the campers heard a loud thud coming from behind them. They didn't think much of it at first, but then it happened again. It seemed like something was throwing rocks at them, and not pebbles either. Carlton says that they were at least 12 inches across, almost small boulders. Carlton decided to shine his light up the hill where he believed the rocks were coming from. At the top of the ridge, he could see a dark shape staring directly back at him. He shut off the light, and the rock throwing stopped for the night. The next morning, they noticed a stick structure close to the camp, but they really didn't pay any mind to it. It seemed to be unrelated, and they continued about their plans for the weekend. During the afternoon, some friends had arrived and also had difficulty reaching the campsite. After some target practice, they noticed a bunch of elk on the ridge above. Two of the campers decided to climb the ridge and discovered the entire herd of elk feeding on wild raspberries. Apparently, they were camped right on the middle of a game trail. Expecting the last of the campers of the group, they headed down the trail to clear the path for the campsite before they arrived. Later that day before dusk, the last of the group arrived and they set up camp. While sitting around the campfire about the same time as the night before, something began throwing rocks at the campsite once again. Now that there were 8 of them, Carlton felt comfortable enough to ask if anyone heard the sounds, and the group agreed it sounded like something was throwing rocks at them. Shortly after that, the coyotes came calling again, only this time they came closer to the camp. So the group put up their dogs and armed themselves to investigate. Yet again, the coyotes stopped and vanished into the night. Suddenly, an eerie wind picked up. The campers returned to the fire to warm up, and while sitting around the campfire, they heard something rustling in the bushes. Then another rock came hurling into the campsite. One of the campers scoped the movement and announced that there might be a bear in the bushes. With known aggressive bears in the area, they once more put up their dogs and went to investigate. One of the campers produced a pair of night vision goggles and started heading towards the bear. What happened next set the tone for the rest of the weekend. The night vision goggles revealed a large, hair-covered beast crouching in the darkness, too large to be man nor bear. They passed around the goggles to be sure of what they were seeing, and then agreed to go get the creature. Upon arriving where the Bigfoot was crouched, it was gone, and all of the foliage was trampled, as you could see a large bipedal animal walk through it. While nothing else was at the site, the group returned once more to the campsite. One of the campers snuck off shortly after to have a little fun with the group, but was outed as they returned to the campfire. Carlton had found out that he indeed was the only believer in Bigfoot, but after some discussion, they all agreed that whatever they saw wasn't human nor anything else they had seen before. Then once again, the rocks started being thrown into the campsite, and all the campers were accounted for this time. The creature had circled them as the rocks were coming from behind. After the rocks had stopped throwing, the group finally turned in for the night as it had become silent around the camp for the duration. This is when the discovery of the structure the next morning became apparent.
So we found this weird-looking shelter structure while camping this weekend. As you can see, all the branches are snapped, not cut by tools in any way, shape, or form. It's stacked pretty strange in here. And we thought it was a hunting blind originally, but we climbed inside to the entrance and looked in it. And none of the entry points look like you'd be able to see any kind of thing out of it with the gun. So we kind of eliminated the thought that this may be a hunting blind. It could be a person-built shelter, but it's kind of strange because these are pretty big logs up here inside of this thing, and just the way they're stacked in here, most people wouldn't waste the time to build this. Yeah, because this hill that this structure is on is very odd, and it's just a weird structure that's stacked up here.
Carlton tells us his thoughts are, whatever built this structure was throwing the rocks at them. Because of poor weather, it just wanted to get back into its shelter. Was it a Sasquatch? Carlton says yes, while the others agree it was not a bear, nor an elk, nor any other known animal. Much like many others, they are yet to say they believe it was Bigfoot. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Real Bigfoot Encounters. I'm Reverend Jeff, and may the Squatch be with you.